What's up, everybody? My name is Justin Ortiz. Welcome to the Justin Focus Show. I'm super excited. I have Jaleel Lord and I have Derek Blaney, and they're both from the Frazier Realty Group. So, welcome. I appreciate you guys being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely. So, talk to me about who you guys are. Just give a brief introduction of yourself and what you do.
So, hi, I'm Jaleel Lord, owner and CEO of Frazier Realty Group, and I'm also a full-time broker under Frazier Realty Group.
And I am Derek Blaney, commercial real estate broker, partner with Frazier Realty Group.
Awesome, awesome. So tell me, how did you guys get started in real estate?
So my story is a little funky. We both started at Wells Fargo. That's how we know one another. And I used to always say, hey, I'm going to go into commercial real estate. And literally one day I walked into my job normal as any normal day could be. Yeah. And I just wasn't feeling it. I emailed my boss and said, what do I need to do to quit? Yeah. And the rest is history. I got my license the next month, and then I've been full throttle in commercial real estate ever since.
And so for me, in 2018, I was looking for a way out. He was already out, but I was looking for a way out. Yeah. And I didn't go to the traditional get a license route initially. I started wholesaling real estate, which is in essence kind of like an investor's realtor. That's the way I kind of conceptualizing it. Right. I bring distressed properties and deals to investors who wants to fix and flip those homes. That's the simplified version, but that's how I got started wholesaling.
Awesome. Talk to me about your name, Frazier Realty Group. Where does that come from?
So I'm a native of Philadelphia, and I grew up on a small block, 2400 block of Frazier, and literally it made me who I am today. So you always get the cliche version, which is not a bad thing. Someone has their last name as a realty group, and it's more than me. Yeah. It's what made me. So that's why I made it Frazier Realty Group.
Very nice, very nice. Now, a lot of people, want to get into real estate. You guys obviously do commercial real estate. What kind of advice, or how can somebody really get into commercial real estate and also be successful at it?
So it depends on what avenue of commercial real estate you want to delve into. If you want to be an investor, you don't have to get a license like we did. You just have to identify how you want to invest. Do you want to buy apartment complexes? Do you want to own industrial properties, retail properties, something to that effect? So once you identify how you want to be a part of commercial real estate, you kind of jump from there. But for us, we went the broker direct. Yeah. By getting your license in the state of North Carolina, you got to have so many hours of class time. You have to pass that class test at a certain number and percentage before you can even take the state. So you go through all these steps, and it takes time. It takes a lot of commitment, dedication, especially in North Carolina, because it costs each time you take these tests. So you want to make sure you try to get it right on the first time.
Why do you say especially in North Carolina?
Because North Carolina has one of the hardest tests in the state, in the United States. So it's not a walk in the park. So you can't just say, oh, I want to become a commercial real estate broker or a residential broker, and you just walk in and say, oh, it's going to be a cakewalk. Okay. It's going to bring you back to challenging times in school, in grade school.
Yeah. I had to take I didn't take you take two portions. You take the national, and then you take the state. The state is more law versed. And I passed the national on the first try, but the state took me twice. It's a tough test.
Rigorous.
It's a very vigorous test.
Okay. How, you guys started your brokerage together. What was it like putting that together and then becoming business partners, and how has that benefited, what you guys are doing?
So once he realized he wanted to get into commercial, brokers in general, I always told him, I said, when you're ready to rock and roll, let's join forces. Yeah. And while he was taking his path, I was doing mine, and we always tried to stay connected. Sit down once a month or every 2 months and just talk about what's going on, what we have going on. And when it was time for us to join forces, I wasn't ready. He was ready, and I would say, well, dang, I don't know if I'm ready for everything, because building everything out, it takes time, and being able to actually have enough for your partners and
Right.
things like that. You have to give. You know, you have to teach. You have to learn. You have to have that time to set aside for them, not just from brokerage and every day
Right.
trying to close a deal. So I wasn't ready. So he went into a different another company, and I said, "Dang, I don't know, man. He should have came over."
Not as a partner to the company, or were you just working
he
for
worked
that
for that
company?
company first before
Okay.
he became a partner over here. Yeah. So I was like, "Dang, I wasn't ready," and then he'll take the rest from there.
So, yeah, he wasn't ready, but like it was a different circumstance.
Yeah.
As far as like the dynamic between the two of us, like we have such a different, like we're different.
Yeah.
He's definitely the face
Right.
of Frazier, and I'm more the data, the analytics, all the stuff on the background. So that's what we just had to figure out that partnership, and that's where ultimately how we came back together.
Right.
And so we understood where we were and what we needed to do and what we bring to the table to make this thing just a cohesive machine.
Right.
So once we identified that, it was a no-brainer for me to say, all right, let me leave this behind, and we can kind of hit the ground running.
So you guys balance each other
Oh
out.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
I always say I'm the bait.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the face. I'm gonna will him in, and he's the line, the hooker. He makes sure you close the deal.
I make sure the facts. I make sure the facts are there. Like we both know the facts, you know. But like I'm a data. I like numbers.
Right. I've noticed that with working
I
with
like
you.
numbers. Numbers do not lie. That's the one thing I learned over my years of life. Numbers will not lie. You can lie to the numbers, and they'll give you the truth about that lie.
Facts.
But the numbers do not lie.
So, you know, with so much going on in real estate, how do you guys specifically go out and find the clients, find the projects to work on? You know, North Carolina is pretty big. How are you guys finding your work, and what are you guys doing to make that happen?
So right now, being as though we're in one of the fastest growing cities within the next 10 to 15 years, the volume is there. So you have to deal with having an understanding of where the market is projecting. So once you have that education and that knowledge, then you go out and market yourself as an expert. Because if you're not marketing yourself as an expert, there's multiple companies and multiple brokers who have been entrenched in commercial real estate for years. So number one, having a clear understanding of where the market is going, have a clear understanding of the business itself, and then exposing yourself out to the world.
Right.
So, and then we live into where everything is social media based. So having a great social media platform to promote yourself and breaking things down far as, do you know each sector of the city before you stretch out of the city? So that's more so how you bring in the volume or bring in a prospect. And then once you start closing deals, once you start being noticed as a specialist, everything is going to take care of itself. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, knowing your industry provides value. People want to be attached to value. You know, they want to be associated with someone who knows what they're doing and who can get them the answers that they're looking for. And that's a really key component of how a lot of our businesses derive is referrals, it's relationships, because people see us and they say, okay, these guys, they're onto something, they know what they're doing, and they're really out here trying to put in the work. And that's where a lot of the businesses come from. Also networking, like you got to get out here and meet these people. You know, we can be behind these, you know, we can be behind our phones, behind the screens all day, but you know, until they can actually meet you in person, you know, you still got to build that trust. You can't do that behind the screen.
Yeah. I think it's just super inspirational. We're all minorities. Like, you guys are making an impact in commercial realty. Talk to me about that and the impact of young men and women seeing what you guys are doing in this industry and the impact that it has on them.
I think it's a beautiful thing because you're showing people that, number one, we are a minority in a minority field. So you're showing individuals that it's possible. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you are efficient and you are very honest in your approach, because you want to make sure that you're making everyone proud that, okay, not only are you doing it, you're in the field, but you're doing it well. I want to be a part of it or be intrigued. I want to be in the field of commercial real estate or real estate in general in some aspect. So literally there's been there's a mountain of commercial real estate brokers who are now trying to transition, residential brokers who are now trying to transition to commercial because they now see that it's possible that minorities can actually succeed in this realm.
And not only minorities, but like he was saying, for the youth as well. This is major because it shows the youth something different early. Yeah. You know, we're not old, we're not young, but like we're just getting into this industry within the last 3 to 5 years. Yeah. You know, had we seen this type of example years beforehand, it could have exposed us to this industry a lot sooner. And who knows where we would be at this place in our age versus the latter. Yeah. So providing the youth that type of exposure where they can see, wait a minute, I can do that at a younger age. I can do that now versus later. Yeah. You know, because conceptually and perceptually, like you don't know what you can do until you see that example somewhere else. Exactly. So we're out here trying to lead that charge. Provide a good example for the youth to come out and say, you know what, I can do that and I can do that sooner. We want them to beat us. We need youth in this industry. We need innovation in this industry, and there's not a lot of it.
What kind of career path did you guys take before you guys actually decided to really get into real estate? Because like with me, I always tell people I work like 25 different jobs by the time I was like 23, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. What are some of the routes that you guys took before you decided like real estate is where it's at?
Shoot, dude, I was kind of all over the place for the most part. Not 25 jobs, maybe 24, but I was all over the place, man. I've worked in the restaurant industry. I've worked in manufacturing, warehouse, corporate America, more specifically, or more recently, not more specifically, more recently, corporate America, in the financial crimes and fraud space. That's actually where we met. Is in corporate America, working for a bank, financial crimes, and we both saw it from the beginning. It's like this isn't it. Yeah. So I've been all over the place. What about you?
Literally, I knew I wanted to be in real estate investing. I took courses. I actually went to get my LSAT to be a commercial real estate attorney. So like I knew real estate was going to be my world. I've always had a desire to be in it. Be inside of this realm that we're in. And it's a funny story. The first day we met, I knew the moment I walked into Wells Fargo, I was quitting because I knew that what my ultimate goal was. It wasn't here. Right. So our first conversation, literally, I don't know what made me ask him. I don't know. I was like,
don't even know him from Adam.
Yeah. So I'm like, so what is your ultimate goal? What is your ultimate goal? Why are you here? Right.
I was so all over the place. I gave him this BS answer. Like, all right, so it wasn't BS.
Were you guys the same level?
Yeah, we were in orientation together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
This was like call center. Gotcha. So it wasn't a BS answer. It was like I said, I've been all over the place. I've always had this hustler mindset, but I've always wanted to do it the most legit way possible. I've grew up in a rough neighborhood. Yeah. I had hustles around me. Yeah. I saw what happened, and I didn't want to go that way. Right. But when you're a part of that, when you have that around you, that mindset is in you. So I've always had this hustler mindset. So the answer I gave him was, at the time I was thinking about like fitness stuff, because I saw it was like everything was happening. People were into fitness, and I was like, I could definitely create like this dope gym. That's what I was thinking. So when he came to me, he was like, "What do you want to do? Is this what you saw yourself doing?" I was like, what? I did think about creating a gym. I had no thought into that. This guy challenged me.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, he put me on the spot. So, but I'll never forget that. Like we've had a really good friendship since then. Like, this guy really put me on the spot, but it made me think, like, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? Right. Not at all.
Now, every business owner, we all experience adversity. I'm trying to do a huge project right now, and there's a lot of adversity. You're trying to, figure things out, get around the red tape. In this industry, like, how do you guys handle adversity?
How do we handle it?
Yeah, how do you handle it? Obviously, you gotta go through it.
Literally by taking it one day at a time, because it's depending on which hat you're wearing. Yeah. You're gonna be faced with different adversity. Yeah. So, are you the counselor today? Yeah. Are you prospecting? Are you marketing? Are you the administrative assistant? Are you your accountant?
All the hats.
Yeah, so it depends on which hat. So literally, it's really making sure that you have a structured schedule, and you have allotted time to make sure that each phase of the business or the deal is getting treated fair.
Right.
So literally, and you have to make sure you're stuck in your structure, because you alleviate like, well, I'm going to try to mix both of them together. I'm going to be my administrator and try to do some brokerage today. It's not going to work, because you got to have some focus. You got to have real acute focus. So it's literally just staying focused and staying structured.
Yeah, I would definitely echo those sentiments. I actually had a shop teacher teach me this, and certain things you learn about me is like certain things really, like small things, stick with me. So I had a shop teacher in high school, and he was giving us a project to work on, and in my mind, as a high schooler, this teenager who just wanted to kind of get in and out, I'm like, I don't want to do this big project. I want to get in and out. So he gave me this big project, and I saw it as this huge project. Right. So he sat me down. He's like, I'm about to ask you a question. I really want you to answer it honestly. He said, how do you eat an elephant? What do you mean? How do you eat an elephant? like I'm in inner city school. You ask me how I eat it. I've never even seen an elephant. So, at the end of it, his answer was one bite at a time. Yeah. Just goes back to what he's saying. Like, you take it one step at a time, one small increment piece of the puzzle every time. Yeah. Give yourself the grace. Give yourself the structure. Give yourself the discipline. And more importantly, give yourself the time to kind of come back and adapt. Right. And resituate yourself. Exactly. Like, if you think that you only give yourself one line to one goal, then you're gonna set yourself up for like this destructive failure that could tear you apart. Absolutely. Allow yourself to get to a point where it's like, okay, wait a minute, I've learned something new. Time to redirect and start that process all over again. So discipline, take one step at a time. Absolutely.
I do got a question about, like, and this may not be pertaining to you guys, but with residential, I've been reading up on the residential situation in Charlotte, and they're saying, like, with the supply at this pace, with how they're building, it may take 70 years to solve the housing crisis in Charlotte. Yeah, I don't know how true that is. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but does that affect the commercial real estate industry?
It always go hand in hand, because the more influx of individuals that come in, it's going to affect how commercial real estate is shaping. Yeah. So as you see in Center City, Uptown Charlotte, there's so many high rises. So that's because of the influx of individuals that are coming in, because they can't keep up with the housing. Yeah. So many individuals are coming in, and which is driving up inflation. 100 a day on average. 100 a day people are coming here on average. So you have to think about the people who are trying to find a home. Yeah. So you're in a seller's market from a residential perspective. Yeah. And then on top of that, you have different generations. So different generations, you have your X and then your Zs. They like to stay close. They don't want to travel. Yeah. So now you have Charlotte building different pockets. Everyone has a city within a mini city within a city. Right. So that's going to always affect us, because more people, more things to do, hopefully more things to do. That means more businesses are going to be here, more corporations are going to bring their corporate offices. It's going to be influx. Revenue. It's all ties in.
Yeah, it's definitely already starting to impact our industry. With the housing market being at a really low margin, that what it does is pushes people where they have to rent. They have to find a place to live. Yeah. So that's why you do see all of these apartment buildings now being built up, these high rises being built up. The pocket neighborhoods, now, like, people want to be in a neighborhood, so these apartments have to be in these neighborhoods that wouldn't have been there before. I was just reading an article recently where there's approval to build a high rise in the Noda or the Plaza Millwood area. Really? And there was a lot of fight about that, because they wanted to keep the culture and the aesthetics of that neighborhood like it has been. There's history there. Right. But that's changing. The way that as fast as the city is changing, that's changing with it.
So it's obviously a benefit to you guys. It's a benefit to the residential realtors. I guess the only people that are really suffering is like the people who want to just buy property.
Well, you don't never want to lose your culture, So don't get it get me wrong, it's beautiful for business, but as like once a city becomes, you know, a staple of something, you know, you want to make sure the historical parts are still intact. So yeah, it's wonderful for business, but from a cultural perspective or from individuals who are born and raised, they have something to stand for and live for or look up to, or that they enjoyed about their city. You're not just, oh, we're just growing and growing and growing. Oh, remember when this was here or how this used to be? You know, every city has some type of artifact of some sort that they can, you know, be grateful about. So you want to keep some sort of, you know, some part of it, you know.
What is the, you know, with commercial real estate, what would you say is the hardest part about commercial real estate? What is something like every day you're like?
Educating the client.
Okay.
He
tries to educate.
Yeah,
all the time,
so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where the client is in a financial Richter scale. You know, you'll have your clients who are high end, who have done thousands upon thousands of commercial real estate deals. They think they're gurus. Then you have individuals who are startups. They don't know anything about the business of commercial, but they know their business. So having them on, you and them on one accord can be challenging because you have to, you know, make sure that you're not interrupting their dream and their aspirations. But at the same token, you want to make sure you're doing your proper job as a broker and educating them in the process so they won't get jammed up because they may want what they want. It may not be conducive for them long term in the business or in the realm of commercial real estate. So educating the client can be a challenge because they see things one way because of their business, but it's a different nuance when you bring in commercial into it.
Yeah. Setting that, we actually were just having this conversation. Is setting the expectation, or the expectation that's going to help set up our client for success. And that's why it's important to have a broker on your side, because if you only know your business and you have your own perception of what real estate looks like, mainly from mainstream TV and the residential side, which isn't the same, it's nowhere near close. So if your perception is derived from that, when you start jumping into this world and you want to try to be a part of commercial real estate, whether it be starting a business and you need to lease a space or purchase a commercial property, that expectation is warranted. Like, you need to have that conversation with someone who knows the market, someone who can get you the data that you're going to need. If you can't have that, you can be taken advantage of very quickly. So setting that expectation is very tough because a lot of people they don't realize that this world is completely different.
So, you know, when small business owners, or let's just say small business owners, they want to get into commercial property, and I don't want this to be a vague question, but when they're trying to get into commercial real estate, not as a realtor, but as somebody, they just want to purchase the property, you know, what steps do they take to purchase the property? Where do they need to be in order to be in a position to purchase their own commercial space?
So that's it. That's
They're
why,
all different, right?
it's different. That's why commercial is such a beast. So you would still, in essence, take the same steps as residential. You want to speak with a lender and find out, you know, what it is that they're going to need so that you can qualify and get the funding that you're going to need. Now, how all that unravels really depends on the property that you're buying. If it depends on if you're buying an apartment complex, an office building, industrial space, like all of that changes. Even if you're just buying land, like all of that changes what's going to take place with that loan, because they could potentially use the income that's going to come from the building that you're going to buy, or they can use, you know, whatever the projected business that it is that you're going to use, you know, for that space. Like it changes drastically depending on how you're going to use that space and what you're going to do with it. So the biggest thing is, the first step is speaking with the lender and finding out what it is that you need to do to acquire those funds based off of how you want to utilize that space. That's if you're starting. And of course, that's if you're starting from the ground up. You know, if you're someone who's already been in this world, in this business world, you're gonna approach this completely differently.
Now, are they looking at personal credit, or are they looking at business credit? You know, like.
Both, if
how
you
do they
have
gauge
it.
that?
So both if you have it. If you start up personal, they leverage personal.
Okay.
But like I said, it depends on what you get from the lender, what they're looking for.
One of the big things that I'm interested in is the opportunity zones, and we've talked a little bit about that. Can you guys give me just a brief overview, and tell everybody like how that actually works and how maybe they can benefit from it?
You got any?
It's incentivized. So you an opportunity, you get credits like tax credits for opportunity being in the opportunity zone. And if I'm not mistaken, it has changed quite a bit in the start of 2022. I haven't dived into it as much, but as of right now, if you're in an opportunity zone, because that means you're in a area that is gentrifying, so to speak. That particular property hasn't reached its full potential. So acquiring it or utilizing it to its highest and best use is going to give you a nice tax break.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the biggest thing surrounding opportunity zones, is to take advantage of the tax breaks and the tax advantages that come along with it.
Right.
But a lot of that stuff, it has to be done within a certain timeline.
It does.
Like you can't just buy it and just hold on to it.
Yeah.
Like you got to do something with that property. So I don't have a whole lot around that, but
I'm literally brokeraging a deal right now that's an opportunity zone.
Okay.
So that's how I know that things have changed from a tax perspective. Last quarter would have been in North Carolina. Last quarter would have been the best time to secure opportunity zone from a tax advantage.
You mentioned gentrification. So I'm always one to I try to study it and figure it out. And then I see that there's good and there's bad to it. I just want to know kind of your perspective on gentrification in North Carolina.
It really depends on how you view it. It's good or it's bad. So if you like a native, if you grew up in this neighborhood, if you remember your favorite corner store, and that corner store is sitting on 0.5 acres, and the highest and best use is no longer a corner store, you're not going to like that. They're going to change it, because once they change it, it's going to change it into not just a corner store. They'll change it into an office building with a corner store under it. That's going to bring a different a variety of individuals, which is going to ultimately change the dynamic of the housing market. Right. So if you are a native, you're not going to like that. But if you are an individual who loves business and you love the influx of change, and more newer buildings means growth. Right. Growth means more money. You're going to love it. So it literally all depends. But from a business perspective, I think gentrification has great pros, and depending on the individual doing the gentrification, it has great cons as well.
Yeah, that's a tough conversation to have, because it's so subjective to someone else's opinion of how they feel about the neighborhood, because it changes the neighborhood. The biggest thing is this world, like the way we operate, it's a business. Right. And that's gentrification is a business opportunity. If you're one of the ones who has a home, or you're in a neighborhood where gentrification is taking place, and you're not holding off to either take advantage of that movement, because all in all, what's going to do is going to increase the value of your property. So, of course, what that does is increases your taxes and what you're paying on from a year-to-year basis. Exactly. So that's really your biggest thing that you have to manage. If you can manage those taxes until you have maximum turnaround as far as the equity built into your property, then you're looking at it from a business perspective. Now you can, sell off or be a part of the movement, however you want to manage that. But if you're one of the ones who it's frustrating, because it does change like your day to day, it changes how much you can afford, then that's why it's a tough conversation to have. Like I'm not all for it, but I'm not all against it. It's a business move.
I feel the same way. I'm not all for it, but I'm not against it, and I'm just trying to figure it out. And if there's ways to benefit from it, then I also want to figure out how to benefit.
There's absolutely ways to benefit. I mean, it brings equity to a neighborhood. Yeah. Whether it be commercial or residential, it brings equity to a neighborhood. Value increases.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So with being a business owner, a lot of you have some business owners that have opted to work from home, right? how does that impact the industry, or has it impacted the commercial real estate industry, or no?
So us being a satellite brokerage, it hasn't really impacted us, so to speak, in a way that's negative. We're hands-on, so we can reach out and touch our clients. We can reach out and touch a property at any given time. But overall, as business grows and, you know, employees, you have different events and things like that, having a brick and mortar will always be a great thing. But commercial real estate is going from a virtual standpoint, so you have to keep up with the times as well. So will a brick and mortar be as important 10 years from now? We don't know, because things are going virtual. I can communicate with somebody across the country. I don't have to fly in to see them. I can see them on a screen. So it has. I feel as though us being a satellite hasn't had as many disadvantages.
Yeah, not so much. That's actually more of a like big business, small business type concern. Small businesses are still utilizing the brick and mortar space. You know, they still, as we talked about earlier, like you still have to build that trust with your clientele, and you do that face to face. You know, you do that with these in-person interactions. Big business, you know, that's the thing that they're trying to figure out now. They're trying to figure out how they can utilize the opportunity of working from home, or going back to the regular model. You know, because a lot of them still got leases on these spaces, or they own these spaces, and they need to use them. Because if not, they're just burning up money. But I mean, it's definitely a big business, small business question there.
You guys ever going to transition over to the commercial real estate metaverse?
If the money's there.
Because I see people buying real estate in the metaverse, and you know, people are making money. I don't know the industry, but I'm seeing things.
I see it too. I'm not too familiar with it, like other than, you know, the perception of taking real world aspects and creating something virtual. The reason why real estate is so valuable is because you're not creating more of it. Like we can't make more land. You know what I'm saying? In that virtual world, like I don't understand the value yet, because you can just create a whole nother world. If you don't like a world, if you don't like how it's being run or operated, or the pricing inside of it, you just create a whole nother world. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know that much to make me say.
It's limitless.
It's definitely limitless.
It's something there that, I mean, everyone knows.
You know, so that's wild. With you guys, like, what are some of your goals? Like, what do you in the next 5 years? Where do you see yourselves doing in commercial real estate, or just in general?
So for me, so I know I started actually doing real estate business, wholesaling. But what intrigued me about real estate was the way that you can build passive income surrounding by ownership. That would all stem from living inside of an apartment complex and me looking at each door like, wait a minute, if I'm paying $1,000 a month and they're paying $1,000 a month, and there's 200 doors in this apartment complex, you know, I'm like, wait a minute. Like I'm a numbers guy. Like all those numbers added up. So it sent me down this rabbit hole of just learning, real estate. So for me, long-term goal is to passive income, owning multiple apartment complexes and office, you know, just something where you can step back and actually have that financial freedom that we've all dreamed about.
Absolutely. How about you?
Ultimate goal in commercial real estate is literally to teach individuals and educate them in the field of commercial real estate. Because there's so many individuals, whether you're an investor, whether you're a broker, whether you want to get into the business in any way, that don't know, and it's constant change. So me personally, is being able to give advice, being able to instruct, being able to inform of what's going on, where things are headed. That's the ultimate goal, while creating passive income.
And last question, just, you know, what advice would you give to individuals who want to get involved with commercial real estate, or just real estate in general? Like, what can you do to help them to take that next step?
Patience. You got to have patience, because you're dealing with individuals who have a business.
Yeah.
So we can't just say, I'm gonna find you a house down the street. That business has to be conducive to the environment. So, or to the atmosphere. So where are you at? Where are you? Do you need to be uptown? Do you need to be in Ballantyne? So you have to have patience while securing them a property.
Yeah.
And educating them along the way. So that's the first thing I would tell them, to have patience and being willing to learn.
This is going to sound really cliche. It's going to sound really cliche, but action. Neither me or him have the same background.
Right.
His initial ambition in real estate was when we had our initial conversation, was law. You know, he came to North Carolina for law, for commercial development, just, you know, to be a part of the real estate world, but it was law. Yeah. That's what initially started it. Right. For me, it was seeing what was taking place around me, and I jumped into the wholesale space just to get inside of the game. Yeah. So my word is action, because you just have to take a step. Like, you can do the research, you're gonna have to do the research, you gotta prepare yourself, of course. But eventually, you just gotta take a step. And that's really all it takes with any industry, not even just real estate. Yeah. You just gotta take a step and just start making things happen.
So people are watching this right now. How can they get a hold of you? They may want to work with you guys and have you guys be their commercial realtor. How can they get a hold of you guys?
So our website is www.frg-commercial.com. Our social media is Frazier Realty Group _LLC. My personal page is Jalil _FRG57.
Yep, and you can catch me on Instagram as well. Derek.blaney.cr. What is my Instagram?
I'm put it right on the screen. You get it right now. It's right here.
Derek, I'm easy to find. You just spell my name DERRICK, Blaney, BLANEY, and then CRE, which is commercial real estate. You can hit me up there or reach out to me via email, derek@frg-commercial.com.
Absolutely. So I just want to thank you guys for being a part of the show and giving all this great information to the people, and to me especially, because I'm looking to purchase property or purchase commercial real estate. So I definitely appreciate it, and I look forward to more of these shows, man.